1984 was when the movie came out, obviously, since it's 40 years ago. And this would have been like probably his third major role. Because like 82 would have been Conan the Barbarian. And that was probably his first real film. He had some very small minor roles, but this is the first one that he was really kind of cast as like, hey, you're a big deal. We're going to make this all about you, and you're going to be the focal point. Now, oddly enough, one of the kind of, what do we call this, urban legend was that the Terminator was actually supposed to be played by OJ Simpson.
No.
I feel like I just heard that somewhere.
But James Cameron, who originally made this movie, the original director of the first two, has denied that that was never a thing. There was also reports that Arnold was supposed to be the guy, like the human that went back in time. But they think like after his kind of stoic expression, his pronunciation of words, and I mean, let's just be real. I mean, he's a physical presence at this point. He's not like the best actor, but he really does nail the role
as a robot,
without a doubt. I would probably say the biggest reason why I love this film is it's kind of somewhere between an old art house grind movie, like an old, horror movie, and like a, cinematic spectacle action movie. So let's just kind of roll through a few of my observations. I just watched it the other day, so some of the stuff you might not remember, but if you do, we're just going to kind of take you on a little ride. When you're talking about like him acting like a robot, the Terminator, there's really only one or a group of people that ever actually questioned him being non-human, and it would be the punks at the beginning of the film. All right. Everybody else that the Terminator encounters, they always assume that this guy is, or this person, this thing is a person. And so it's just kind of funny that like that happens at the beginning, and then through the rest of the film, there's only two people really in this whole movie that realize it's a machine. Kyle Reese, the guy that goes back in time, it takes Sarah all of like basically 45 minutes to go from being you're crazy to like, oh my god, a robot's trying to kill me. And so there's only two people that really realize that until it's too late. Like the Terminator kills you and it's already too late. But I always thought it was funny because what really always lent credence to that, it wasn't necessarily that he was a robot though. When these punks encounter him, it's because he's also naked. Yeah, and he's got his dong out.
Yeah,
so,
like I think bodying.
Yeah,
body was bodying.
Yeah. So that was also another reason why they casted him as the Terminator, the physical specimen. So he gets sent back the May 12th, 1984. I always kind of feel like in the beginning, Reese goes back. He has to get clothes because he's naked too. And so he steals them off of a homeless man. And I swear, if you've seen the movie, like those pants are dirty. I mean, they are soiled. And just the fact that this man comes back in time from the future,
still the dirtiest pair of clothes you could ever think of.
And I think it's also funny that like he's like putting the pants on, and then a cop car just rolls up, and they're shining the light over there, and they're like, and they're probably thinking like, oh, we got to bust these homeless people from
taking each other's clothes
or getting it in or something.
What y'all over there doing?
He's got to button his stuff, and all of a sudden he's on the run, which is also a great thing. What I love about this movie is that everybody's constantly on the run, and Reese gets to put on like two of the dopest pairs of Nikes from the 80s. He gets a nice little costume change, and then we're on our way into basically a cat and mouse game. Now, one thing through this whole movie is that everybody's stealing cars. I kind of feel like the LAPD auto theft department really was dropping the ball on this one.
Yeah.
Like if they could have been like, hey, that's the stolen car, or we're right on it. A couple of other things, Sarah Connor had a pet lizard.
Did not know that.
What happened to the lizard?
Oh, I don't remember the lizard.
The lizard, she had a lizard with Ginger in the apartment. So lizard was left behind. I don't know. Someone ended up with a lizard. I
just had to go save her son.
And if you happen to notice my shirt here, let me move over.
Yeah. Show us.
What is it? Nightclub?
Yeah, this is the nightclub that gets shot up, which is probably my favorite scene in the entire movie.
A lot of things got shot up in the movie.
Oh, but the greatest part of that scene is where Reese figures out who the Terminator is, and Sarah's having her first face-to-face look at this demon machine that's about to put a bullet in her, and then just all hell breaks loose. But one thing I wanted to focus on was the cover fee for the club was $4.50. That's the equivalent of $13.62 now. So I'm trying to think, is that a good deal or a bad deal?
I can't get them for free. I don't know how I would feel about paying $4.50 as an entry fee, because I'm gonna be like, why not just $5? I really got to break out this change, or you walking around with change.
You leave the 50 cents for the tip for the door girl, So I mean,
that's my 50 cents.
But I just wanted to point out that $13.62 is what would get you into a nightclub nowadays or back then, and also everybody in that club that you see dancing around, in great costumes and everything, they're now 60 years old. So just something to kind of keep in your mind that these young people are now about to claim Medicare.
Medicare.
Yeah. So probably my favorite part of the movie is when there's a little bit of exposition going on. Reese is trying to explain to her, like, hey, you're about to get killed. This thing is from the future. It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. And she's like, okay, I'm not stupid. They can't make stuff like that. And then Reese says one of the greatest things ever. Yeah, not now, but 40 years from now. In 2024.
Wow.
And you saw what was in art. You saw what was in art.
So we're shooting the Tesla bot today. What if the Tesla turns into the Tesla Terminator?
What if it loves everyone?
It will. It obviously will. And also, Reese warns us about government AI taking over, defense grids, and that's what happens. We're leading right into it, people. I'm just saying, we're just 40 years behind.
I just wanted to get out of prison and just have a regular life.
Forget it.
Oh, no. You want to go back.
Yeah, you're probably safer in there.
I'm going to go get a flip phone.
I give the gratuitous 80s sex scene a solid B+.
All right.
Solid B. Solid Bs, actually, if you know what I mean. Also, at the end, was that trucker just asleep at the wheel when he ran over the Terminator? I mean, it's obvious there's a human body laying in the road. And this dude just rolls through
hard.
Did not even apply the brakes until it's all climbing up under there. But I know a lot of this is to, propel the plot. I love how Sarah and Reese always assume the Terminator's pronouns as he and him.
Oh, wow. And they didn't even get canceled.
Can't even get canceled.
Wow.
And then a few other this thing is littered with character actors, people that you would see in other movies. And there's just a few others that I want to just point out. Ginger's boyfriend, Rick Rossovich, was Slider from Top Gun.
Okay.
The leader of the punks, go back and see this, is a young Bill Paxton.
Oh, really?
There was another guy, the little captain, the police lieutenant, Lance Henriksen, who would play Bishop in Aliens. The guy that gets the android that gets cut in half.
Yeah.
The milk and stuff. And then, if you remember the future scene of the Terminator infiltration unit as it goes into the little base, do you remember that sequence at all?
No.
Well, there's a Terminator.
I watched the movie 10 years ago. Don't remember anything about it.
I thought you were going to watch it.
I was going to, but I'm watching that Denzel Washington movie instead.
There's a future Terminator scene that's the Terminator's played by Frank Columbo. That guy was basically he was the lightweight version of Arnold Schwarzenegger when it comes to the Olympic weight building competitions. Arnold was heavyweight. Frank Columbo was a lightweight. Frank Columbo is Arnold's best friend. And Frank Columbo played the future Terminator in that scene. And he would actually later go on, Frank Columbo would try to make an action movie himself. And Arnold was actually in that piece of
I was going to say, was it good?
No. This was it was like a straight to video. It's one of the very few Arnold Schwarzenegger movies I've ever not seen. But Frank Columbo would end up passing away about 4 or 5 years ago. But that was Arnold's best friend.
Well, he did say the people who were in the Terminator at that time is like pushing.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, Arnold's like almost 80 now.
Man, and he's still
looking like he's in his 60s.
And then the last thing is that James Cameron was sued because this was based on somewhat influenced by a episode of The Outer Limits from the 60s.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
This was pretty much James Cameron's Jim Cameraman, as I like to call him. This is the movie that really kind of propels him and put him on the map.
What would you give the movie overall, even rewatching it recently?
I mean, honestly,
1 to 10.
10. 9.5.
I agree.
9.5.
Because when you really think about like all the Terminator movies, it keep your heart racing the whole time.
It scared, like, okay, I love Terminator 2. I saw Terminator 1 as a kid before I went and saw Terminator 2. And I loved watching Terminator 2 because the action is great. But I would not watch Terminator 1 as much as a kid because it scared the crap out of me. It really scared. It was so scary. It's a darker movie. It's shot. It's not as pretty. It feels compact. It feels like the Terminator's like always on you. I can't say it, but like that original Terminator is way more scary than the T-1000 to me. And the thing is, like, T2 is a great movie, but it's a terrible sequel. It doesn't really like make sense that the technology just greatly improves. Even though, like, when you really look down to it, it's like, hey, we sent a Terminator back in time. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. But we had this prototype that's, like, made of liquid metal. We're going to send him back, too. And it'll just happen to be 10 years later and whatever. I think that it's still a solid 9.5.
Okay.
Out of 10, without a doubt.